So, but speaking of shareholder values, what is this I hear about
Ooh.
shareholder values with a certain company?
Well, let's go there. All right, let's bounce. Let's do a little ping pong here. So Tesla
Oh.
is just announced a $2 billion capital raise. Right after this, I'm reading a headline from Electrek. Right after
Yeah.
Elon Musk said it doesn't make sense. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
this is why I don't, there's in the moment you can ask Elon something and he'll give you his most honest answer always. That's what
Right.
I think we all love about him.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that like reality won't set in a week later and go, hey, maybe actually we should look at that again, and he'll change his mind. I think that's probably a good quality. But anyways, yeah. So Tesla announced that they have a new stock offering worth over $2 billion. This was after the stock jumped over $700 a share. And really, the deal is they're just trying to capitalize on that share price, essentially, is what's
Right.
going on. So they're going to essentially out of the air, create 2.65 million new shares that will, they'll sell them at the stock price that's there. Larry Ellison is going to buy some, who's a board member, founder of Oracle, if you guys are old tech dinosaurs like me. Elon is going to be buying some, etc. So they're expecting to raise between 2.01 and 2.31 billion
Wow.
when they actually execute this. And so yeah,
I don't quite. This always confuses me. Like, how can you like make more? What happens? Does it? Are you dividing the pie more, or
So essentially, you're diluting the shares, which is not what investors like. So essentially, hey, we had 1 million shares, now we have 1.5 million shares. Like, so your actual share, like if the stock price stays the same, then fine, but the stock price often goes down because essentially there's, like your portion got smaller, essentially,
Right.
of the pie.
Right.
So, but the stock did go down. It dropped, I think, by 4.5% immediately after the announcement, and then it's back. I think it's last I looked just a few minutes ago, it was like down 0.5% on the day. So
right now
basically,
it's up 5%?
well, there you go. Yeah. So
So it nulled itself out, or I
Well,
just don't. I
yeah,
don't get that.
if you look at it don't try to. Okay, the stock market is not a thing that makes sense. Let's just agree. It's it doesn't make any sense. So, but with that, okay, so now so they already have, I think it was $6.3 billion cash in the bank, which means they're not going out of business anytime soon.
Right.
And add in 2 billion more to that, you got 8 billion there. It seems like they're just really trying to make use of this opportunity where the stock is so high. What they could, typically when they've done this in the past, the reason was to build something. So, hey, we need to build out a new section of the Gigafactory or this or that, and we need $2 billion like right now to do that. And so investors would typically look at that as a positive thing. Here, because you're diluting existing shares, and the answer was to strengthen our balance sheet. It wasn't like by the way, we're building this new thing, we need money for it. They have a lot of things they're building that they do need money for, but they've basically stated they're good. They already have enough money, and Elon has repeated over and over they don't want to raise money for this. So it seems a little bit like they're just kind of being opportunistic here. But
Maybe
it helps them grow in the future, but it's just not clear as to when or why.
I would love if they took this money and drew it straight into more superchargers, more
100% service
more
centers.
Service centers, yeah, exactly. More service centers, period. Like triple down on it right now.
Yeah, because that actually has went down quite a bit. So, people, and I just did a video on it, looking at it, and yeah, the supercharger network is still the biggest, best one out there from any one company. However, it like 3 years ago, they opened like in I think North America, like 3,000 new chargers. And then 2 years ago, it was like 1,800. And then last year was like 1,100. So it's actually been declining. It's still a lot. Now, you won't need to continue to open, gobs and gobs of them as you get more. Like I'm in Arizona right now. I just did a road trip here. The two places I stopped, I was the only car there for a whole hour. So, you don't need like 50 more chargers there.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I totally agree. Like, in fact, they could have just said that. I think, like there's no. Like holding their feet to the fire on that, right? Like if they just said, yeah, we want to build out more service centers and more superchargers, I think investors would have looked at it and been like, oh, yeah,
Right.
perfect. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
I
Do
think
that,
investors
please.
actually would have really liked that. I think they would
Yeah.
have really liked hearing that.
And
they're
then they
investing
still
in
could
that.
have done whatever they wanted to with the money. It's not like someone who said, okay, well, hey, we so what happened to that money? Be like, I don't know, we built a bunch of them.
Right.
You know, it
Right.
helped. Like it's all wishy-washy at that point. It's just in a giant bank account. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And what do you think about this all? Like, do you think this was a good idea? Do you?
I don't know. I mean, like, get while the getting's good, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing to do to add 2 more billion there. I mean, kind of global financial markets and things like that. There's been a lot of slowdowns. There's manufacturing slowdown in China. Like, if you look at the kind of broader economic picture, a lot of people predicting some sort of recession, some sort of downturn in the near future. Electric cars could take a hit from that. I mean, I think actually
Luxury
electric
cars.
cars. Yeah. So I don't think it's a bad move to kind of save up for a rainy day, and if you have the opportunity and all that. But it's to the average consumer, this probably means about nothing. Other than maybe we won't see those kind of like bubble-ish kind of stock jumps that we saw a couple weeks ago when it went to $900+ a share. So probably with more shares out there, you probably won't see that as much. But who knows? We'll kind of follow it, of course. And for those that have invested in Tesla stock, that I think that this, hopefully will yield better results for them. Now, a stock split would be something that would be really interesting that they could do. To essentially lower the price per share, but when you do a split, you would get double the shares.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so you don't lose any money. There's no dilution, but now more people can get into that market because it's a lower price.
Yeah. Yep. Which is
So-
why someone, I don't remember, I think in my Discord channel or someone was comparing the stock price of one to a stock price of another, and I'm like, that's completely arbitrary because it matters. You have to times the number of shares to really get the valuation of the company. Like
That's called market cap. You could just Google the market cap.
Yeah.
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 I mean, so like, are you familiar with what Berkshire Hathaway is?
Yeah, with old
Yeah.
Warry B.
Warren Buffett. Yeah. Good. Is he a corn husker? What is he? Is he Nebraska?
He's Nebraskan. Yeah, he lives in Omaha in like a $300,000 house or something.
Omaha. Yeah. So his he has lots of companies, but Berkshire the main one, Class A stock, because they have. So there's also multiple classes of stock. I mean, this could go on like a long discussion, but anyways, the Class A stock, which is the preferred one. So if you have dividends, they're the people getting paid first. Class A stock of Berkshire Hathaway, to talk about that whole thing about the price, is currently one share is currently $340,948.66.
How
One
many?
share, $340,000 for one share.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? And
Right.
what's the volume here? So market cap is 555 billion for that. So, and it's funny because I remember maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, a friend of mine got married, and his father-in-law gave them one share of Berkshire Hathaway stock, which at the time was worth like $80,000 or something like that, which was
Wow.
still nuts. And he
Right.
bought it when it was a brand new company, when it was like $1,000 or $500
Right.
or something like that. So
Wow.
yeah, so
that's nuts.
but yeah, the price of the stock is not necessarily indicative of the
It's
overall.
pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, like if Tesla, so this is why you have stock buyback. So imagine if Elon bought back half of the stock out there, well then the price would go up for all the rest of it because it's now a more limited resource, right? So it's like, but there would be fewer of them. So net, it would be the same thing, but it would just be higher, whatever. Yeah, we're off in
Dang.
the weeds here, but they
Yeah.
raised some money and they're gonna do some stuff with it.
Well, could they do some stuff with that, like make new battery cells or invest in new technologies or like?
Yeah, they
continue
could,
to
and in
make
fact,
more
it looks
batteries?
like they're doing that. Tesla is now building a pilot battery cell manufacturing line at Fremont, which is the factory here in California, or I'm currently
How
in
do they
Arizona,
have
but
room for this?
It's probably outside in a tent.
Or in the bathrooms?
REI had another sale, and so they got themselves another tent. There's actually quite a bit of land there, but it's kind of just where, and it's kind of disjointed. It's not ideal. If you remember, we looked at it, I think last time with the Q4 and 2019 update letter, and they kind of showed Fremont and how things are, have to go from this facility to this facility to this facility, and in China it's like literally just like one loop. They just come in one end and then go down and come back, and then, ta-da, there's a car. So now they're starting to open this new line here, and they have some job postings for Tesla's cell manufacturing engineering group. They're looking for highly motivated equipment development engineers, and to accelerate their next generation battery cell manufacturing program. So not a formal announcement, but there's a job posting announcing it, essentially.
Well, I wonder if we'll learn more about this stuff on Battery Day.
Hopefully, yeah, which is March or April, I forget. It's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff coming there. And, one of the things to think about here is that, why would they be doing this? Why would they want to make their own battery cells? Well, in theory, they could make them better. They recently bought Maxwell Technologies, which had some interesting patents that they could maybe use. There's also this company Hibar, which specializes in the equipment to make battery cells. So they've kind of been assembling the Avengers here. And in addition to this, something that no one's really talked about, but isn't even new news, is in Nevada, near the Gigafactory, a new lithium mine. It could be the biggest in North America. I believe is the biggest in North America. It could be one of the largest in the world, literally like 2 hours from the Gigafactory.
Whoa.
Yeah, and this news is from August of 2018. So this isn't even new at all, but no one's really talked about it or thought about it. I thought there were some funny quotes here talking about, by 2025, the batteries will, quadruple in demand. Yeah, I think it's happened a lot sooner than that.
Yeah.
So imagine all these things coming together, right? It's kind of the confluence of them acquiring companies that are specialized in making battery cells, and then acquiring companies that have patents galore on like some of the most advanced actual chemistry and technology inside of the cell, and then having one of the world's largest battery factories within an hour or two's drive of the world's largest deposit of the materials for that factory.
Right.
Like, this could be, we could see Battery Day as being like, everyone else just being like, we're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Yeah. It might be a total mic drop. When Elon said short burn of the century, I think he's right, because I think he knows all these things that they've been working on for maybe years or whatever, and just seeing all these things culminate, just going like, once these things all line up and all turn on, and all these things are checked off, game over.
Yeah.
And it really seems like this is exactly what's happening.
They've just been assembling the parts the whole time, and and the thing about it that is interesting is I still think that there has to be a bigger play here than just them making their own cars. I really think that they should produce things for other companies.
Right.
And they'll still crush. They still will do amazing, because what they make, others won't make. But like Honda could make a really dope, simple, tiny little, like the Honda E, for example, that they're making, which practically has, old school pump windows. It doesn't have mechanical, but it's super cheap. But if the battery was cheap and good, that would solve the biggest problem for making cheap, affordable electric cars. So I just have to. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the idea is be Apple, where yes,
you control
have
everything,
right, and you have a minority stake as a single company in the overall smartphone market, but you get the majority of the profits because you have such. They have 15% of market share of iPhones in the world versus iPhone and Android and whatever else is out there. However, because their phones are so expensive, That's
Right.
a huge profit source for them. So
Right.
I don't know. That would be a really interesting thing to hear Elon's, and I don't even know if he thinks that far ahead. I mean, he thinks like in wild terms, but I don't know if
Right.
because that's like a very like business strategy kind of thing.
Right.
You know?
So the one thing I don't get is why would they do this in Fremont as opposed to their Gigafactory? When there's tons of room at the Gigafactory, and if they're already producing and doing battery stuff there at Gigafactory, like why would they? Why? Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking us out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this clip from our podcast.
We do a weekly show here on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to Our Ludicrous Future, where we discuss all the things that are going to make our future totally ludicrous.
You can join us here on YouTube or at any of your favorite podcast places. Plus, if you want to get some behind-the-scenes stuff and join a cool community, you can help support the channel at patreon.com. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.